Welcome to another exciting episode of me talking about ponies. Oh my god, it's been forever, guys and girls and gentle colts and gentle ponies and gentle mares and whatever you want to call yourself. Hello. So I guess it's been a long time since I've done a recording, so I guess I'll start and with this 30-second jibber jabber I always like to do as intros, and this is my second time doing this because last time I had so much interruptions. Okay. Ditzy checked. Oh my god, I already messed up. That's terrible. Ditzy checked the address number, and it matched the one she had copied from the newspaper ad. There was no sign at the door, but she supposed it didn't matter. The Pegasus pushed open the door. The first thing Ditzy noticed after closing the door behind her was a low amount of light. A small window on one side of the room was the only light source, and the shadow of the adjacent warehouse blocked it. The walls were bare, and the room was totally empty save for a long counter on which absolutely nothing was sitting save for a service bell. A door in the wall behind the counter read offices. Because I can't record off of an iPod anymore. I have to use the computer and this to read the fan fiction. And I'm sorry if you guys have to read the clicks, but it just happens. Ditzy wasn't surprised she'd never heard of this place. It certainly didn't look like a big deal. If the reception room was any indication, it probably wasn't a very wealthy company. Ditzy pondered if a little service like this probably could even consider a business competitor to the nationally renowned Clouds Mail and Freight. Well, I guess beggars can't be choosers, I guess, Ditzy said aloud, unfazed by how humble as the new place seemed compared to her old place of employment. She flew up to the counter and rang the little bell. Then she waited, one eye focused on the door to the back, while the other scanned the bland room for any further details. The door creaked open, and a male unicorn peered out, his eyes falling on Ditzy. "Yes, ma'am?" he asked in a clearly uninterested voice, not bothering to bring any more of his head forth from the back room. Ditzy stammered, trying not to be intimidated by the unicorn's completely indifferent demeanor. I came for a job. I saw the news in the ad, and..." The unicorn suddenly looked considerably more interested. "A potential employee? That's great news. Please come on back here." I know where this is going. "My office is at the end of the hall." As suddenly as he arrived, the unicorn disappeared again into the depths of the building. He hadn't even stepped far enough from the shadows of the doorway for the Pegasus to get a good look at him. Why do I say did she? Dyslexia. Ditzy cautiously flew over the desk and gave the door a nudge. It opened to a hallway just as barren as the front room, and the Pegasus caught a glimpse of the unicorn disappearing into the last room at the end. "This building sure is, drab," the cross-eyed pony mumbled as she walked past a row of identical unmarked doors. Only two in the entire hall gave any indication what lied behind. One was marked with the symbol of a staircase, and the door to which Ditzy was headed to held a nameplate. "Dr. Candyfloss, Senior Manager." Ditzy entered the office and found a unicorn that was presumably Dr. Candyfloss sitting behind his desk. She squinted at the sudden change of lighting. This room held a window that wasn't blocked by any outside structure, allowing light to flood in the room. Once her eyes adjusted, Ditzy turned her attention toward the unicorn himself. Dr. Candyfloss had a very airy appearance about him. His coat was white, contrasting with his magenta mane and tail, both of which seemed to be spread out lazily in a wispy sort of style, as if the wind had blown his hair back and it had frozen in place like that. It looked curiously like an aerated sugar product. That was the unicorn's namesake, if not only slightly darker color of his mane. In my defense, I have no idea what color magenta is, and I can't exactly picture what he looks like, so if that's important to the story later, that's not my fault. He also wore a small bow tie and a thick gold ring around one hoof. Perhaps the most unusual were his eyes, which were a cloudy gray color that caused him to cast a somewhat unsettling gaze. Ditzy glanced at his cutie mark, which appeared to be a small golden bow with an arrow in place. Cupid, the Pegasus had no idea what it meant. Oh, but she never questioned if a pony's cutie mark didn't match their career, considering that The bubbles that adorned her blank had nothing to do with her passion for mail delivery and muffins. "Come in, miss, come in," Dr. Candyfloss called, gesturing to a chair in the corner. His voice was unusually high and breathy for a male pony. I didn't even know what those mean, so... Ditsy moved to the chair in question and faced the unicorn. "Hi," she said cheerfully, "so this is where I apply, right?" That it is," the unicorn said with a smile. "I'm very glad to find some ponies showing an interest. We're woefully understaffed right now. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to get right to the interview." His horn glowed briefly, and a quill and a piece of paper escaped the clutter of his desk, rose up in front of him. "So, ma'am, why don't you give me your name and tell me a bit about yourself?" Ditzy cleared her throat. "Well, my name is Ditzy Doo. I'm a Pegasus living in a short ways outside of Cloudsdale. I'm looking for a job to support myself and my fillies, since I'm a single mom and..." Hold it, Dr. Candyfloss intervened. I just love that name, Dr. Candyfloss intervened, frowning. "You're a single mother. Dear me, I'm afraid if you're separated, it won't look good for our..." "Actually," Ditzy cut him off, weren't separated. It's just that my husband is, well, deceased." "Oh," the stallion responded. Much to Ditzy's confusion and slight indignation, Dr. Candyfloss seemed to brighten considerably at the news. That's messed up. Could you imagine if you're giving your entire life story, and then you're like, "Well, I'm a single parent," and wait, what? "Yeah, it's 'cause things didn't go out too well." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, then I guess you're not getting this job." And then you're like, "Well, he died," and he just gets all happy. Either he's trying to get in your pants, or something's going on. And since I still haven't read this because I kept to my word and didn't read this fan fiction, I don't know. Sorry, I'm recovering from cold. "Well, that works then, no problems. Please continue." Ditzy struggled to find her voice again. Why in Equestria, she thought, would it be preferable to have a dead spouse to a separated one? She decided it didn't matter either way. She couldn't fathom how either option could have any bearing on a delivery job. So she picked up, "Yeah, I need this job if possible, since I don't have an income at the moment." "Don't worry," the unicorn responded. "We'll be sure to hire you if at all possible, and help you with your whole nasty business." He glanced at his notes. "Speaking of which, would you mind giving me past employment details?" "Well, my last job was at Cloudsdale Mail and Freight," the Pegasus continued, somewhat nervous about the direction of the topic was taking. "Your position? Mailmare, of course." "Why did you leave that job?" "Well," Ditzy began, her head dropping a little bit in shame, "I wasn't particularly punctual or good at navigation. I get the job done most of the time. I'm a little slow, and it's because of my eye condition." "Yes, I was wondering about those eyes," Candyfloss responded. "No offense, of course. They're just curious." "Oh, it's no problem. I get that a lot," Ditzy replied, waving away the mention of her unusual eyes. "So anyways, eventually they had to let me go because, well, I couldn't keep their speed and accuracy standards." She leaned forward suddenly. "But I really try my best. Surely with your understaffing here, employing a less than 100% efficient pony is preferable to not employing anyone at all." "Calm down, my dear Dr. Candyfloss responded with a reassuring smile. "Don't let it worry you. Such difficulties make little difference to us here." Ditzy was dumbstruck. The unicorn had brushed off her somewhat terrible delivery record like it was nothing. "Gee, Dr. Candyfloss," she said hesitantly, "you guys must be desperate for employees then." The unicorn smiled at the confused pony. "No, Miss Ditzy, it's simply that I am more concerned about your personality than your physical skills. For this job, and you seem to be quite charming, friendly, as well as honest, I think you'll be fine." "Well, thanks," Ditzy replied, smiling. "So is there anything else you need to know?" The unicorn put a hoof on his chin, and thought. Just outstanding medical conditions, I suppose. How bad really is your little eye problem? And do you currently have any other major health issues?" Ditzy grinned sheepishly. "The eyes are the only problem, and they aren't really that bad. My depth perception is a little off. and I get lost easily, and that's not a problem. Oh, and I can't read very quickly. But other than that, I'm fine. Dr. Candyfloss scribbled down a few more notes with his magical quill, then looked up and smiled politely at the little Pegasus guest. Well then, Miss Ditsy-Doo, I think you'll make the cut. I'd be happy to make you a member of the team at Equestria Speedy Shipping Services. Try saying that 3 times fast. Dizzy's eyes lit up. Really? I'm hired? Almost, the unicorn chuckled. Just sign the line at the employment contract. You better read that damn thing, Ditzy. You do not know what you're getting yourself into, and neither do I. He levitated a long scroll full of text and a quiver over to Ditzy. She glanced briefly at the contract and didn't see any particularly noticeable problems with it. Besides, Dr. Candyfloss seemed trustworthy, just a bit unconventional. And I'm gonna have to pause this video right now because I am reaching my time limit. Thanks, guys, and I'll do this later.